should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht edition live on Facebook. Tonight, we're joined by not one, but two guests. The lovely Dr. Kathleen Gabriels from Maastricht University will be telling us all about the ethics of AI and robotics. We'll also be joined by Bliss Art with Monica and Ville, who'll be telling us all about that phenomenon of live art painting. So stay tuned.
Ooh.
So good evening, everyone. Joe, you need to turn your mic on.
Joe, shockingly, we can't hear you. Oh my God, that was scary. Joe's mute does not work well, does it?
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Maastricht edition. Here we are again. And before we do anything, we just wanted to say a huge, big apology about last week and the Halloween special. We had a few technical problems last week, and fingers crossed we've got them sorted out this week. But it's a real shame. It all went a little bit wibble, but we're here. We're back. We're not dressed up.
No. Well,
maybe you think we are.
I made an effort. It's my new top. There you go.
Oh, very nice, Trace.
It's got little flowers on it, so yes.
Perfectly positioned to show off your blossoms.
There you go. I'm in full bloom. But although last week we did look quite spooky, didn't we?
We did, yes. And actually I was very grateful to be wearing a hat last week because I had tremendous bedhead last week. And I hadn't got around to sticking a brush through my head for about 3 days. So I was like, excellent. I was going to stick my witch's hat on. That's all good.
I know.
So how are you guys?
Yes, we're well, I think. I'm fine in any case. Happy to be here again. Lovely to see you guys. I can't believe it's already been a week ago. It feels like much longer.
Well, the last 24 hours feels like has been going on for about a month, actually, with all the stuff going on in the States, of course.
Yes, election day. Ooh, and I think there's still no
screen.
I have had a passing eye, I must admit. I've looked at CNN, I've looked at Fox News, I've looked at the BBC, but it's everywhere. You can't really avoid it right now. It's all about the election.
Yeah,
Who knows what will happen?
It does seem to have been going on for a very long time. But anyway, hopefully they will have sorted out. It's actually going to be running the joint very shortly. But this evening, we're not going to be worrying about that at all. No. This evening, we've got some lovely guests coming on. We're going to be talking about AI and robotics with Dr. Kathleen Gabriels. We're going to be talking all things arty. From Bliss Art. We're going to have Monica and Ville joining us later on in the programme for that. That's all good. We've got our usual segments coming up. And I think actually we probably should crack on sooner rather than later because we've got so much happening this evening. So I was actually going to see how Bat has been getting on with the record that you recommended last week, Tracy. So for those of us who may go on, Trace.
It was the record you recommended last week.
Oh God! You know what? I
was
tell you what,
where's this going? Did I miss something?
Got Trump brain going on at the moment.
No, it was your choice, darling, and you selected the fabulous Simon and Garfunkel, if I recall correctly.
Paul Simon.
Oh, one of
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon and Graceland. Oh goodness me, we're doing well this evening.
Yeah, it's off to a great start.
So Paul Simon, Graceland. I recommended this for Matt to review as part of his musical education from me and Tracy as we go back in time and reveal some classics for him. The week before that, he was going all bluesy. This week, we've got a little bit folky, and we've also brought in some international world African beats to the mix with Graceland. What did you think, Matt?
I didn't notice the African beats.
Oh, oh dear.
But I thought it was nice. It was a good album.
You didn't notice the Oh my goodness.
OMG, did you listen to the right
I
album?
think so, yeah.
It's a Cream album. Yeah.
I don't know. I looked on YouTube. I was watching the video.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's assume that you did listen to the right album.
Maybe they were there. I
Graceland.
just didn't like pick up on the fact that
It's
they
a
were
lot of
like,
African singing.
yeah, singing.
Oh, okay. So you recognise the African singing. Maybe you just don't recognise an African beat when it's come knocking on your door, which is fair enough. Okay, fair enough. What did you think of the album?
It was good. It reminded me of I don't know, like really 90s films music. You know, like the music you always hear in the background sort of stuff on those sort of films. I don't know. That's what it reminded me of, or like Shrek or something. I know that's not 90s, but that sort of music, like it was quite fun and like jumpy and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, so
Jumpy.
where were you when you were listening to it?
Sorry?
Where were you when you were listening to it?
I was cooking.
It's a good choice for cooking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
And would you listen to it again, or would you think about listening to more Paul Simon?
I mean, I wouldn't turn it off if it was up there. But no, I wouldn't go seeking it.
Tracy, help me out here.
I don't know what to say, actually. I'm a big fan of Simon and Garfunkel, I must admit. But I mean, Paul Simon he's got some crackers, and Graceland is a very, very well-known, well-renowned album, right?
Good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe too progressive for our Matthew.
Yeah, maybe he should be looking at Simon and Garfunkel instead.
I think I actually have an album in my vinyl collection, and it's the best of Simon and Garfunkel, and it's from beginning to end a fantastic album.
Yeah.
I'll send you a little screen grab of it. Maybe that's a way to go, to ease in first with the Simon and Garfunkel, and then branch out more into their separate endeavors, perhaps.
Well, Adam's in the house, and he has said he still hasn't forgiven Matt for giving Rumours 8 out of 10.
Oh! Well, it's a really good. That was
That's
Fleetwood Mac, the first one you reviewed. Oh God.
I just couldn't remember it. Oh.
I can never remember the names of songs.
Do you know what, Matt? You're very lucky that you've got good hair. That's all I can say.
And a fabulous beard.
Yes, if we didn't love you already, I can tell you, if Tracy and I met you in a pub, we'd be like, I'm not talking to him anymore. I mean, really.
Thank God we're online.
But
Okay, well,
yeah, just don't take off the beard, though, Matthew. We love the beard.
yes, we do love the beard.
Big now. I think
You do love the
A
beard.
little trim, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. In some respects, you're very lucky that we're not in the same room, because I'd be so tempted just to keep having a
No,
little.
that's not allowed because that's like not corona friendly.
Indeed.
No, we wouldn't be in the same room anyway. But if we were in the same room, I'd have to assume that all that palaver's finished with.
Yeah.
And I can get personal with you, and I'd be just like, and intruding on your personal space, which would probably be very annoying, very uncomfortable.
Beards are like dirtier than toilet seats or something.
I wouldn't care. I'd be angry.
I don't think it's true. Mine's lovely and clean.
Yours is lovely and soft. I like it, Matthew.
Very well groomed. But Matt, let's get back on track, because Paul Simon and Graceland, how many Matts out of 10 are you giving it?
I think am I allowed half points? Or does it have to be a whole point?
Oh, we
A
don't.
whole point's easier for my post on Instagram. If you would.
I will give it a 8.
Okay, that's good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. What are you going to do? An 8.5 or a 7.5?
I was going to go 8.5.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
It's the best album so far.
No, it's not. The best one so far was the one from Kate and Anna McGarrigle, which got a 9.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
I'm full of information.
Yes, that's very true. Okay, well, 8.5 it is. Let's hope next week's choice will bring as many points. So Tracy, what have you got for him for next week?
Well, I've gone a little bit alternative. I've chosen a compilation album for Matthew of the best of. So so I thought, maybe good to show you the best of this band instead of picking a particular album. It's an album from 1998. It's a chap from Down Under. Any guesses, Joe? It's not Jason Donovan. No. I have chosen for you the album, the best of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay. I'm writing it down this time.
Yes, there it is, Matthew. This is the album cover you need. Can you see it? Yes. So this is, first of all, Nick Cave is just uber cool. Let's just say that.
He's a bit of a bad boy.
He is a bit of a bad boy. And he's done a fabulous song with Kylie Minogue, who we love. And I'm happy to announce that this song, let me double check. Yes, Where the Wild Roses Grow is on this album. So you'll get to hear this. Great song. So this one has some very good music, Matthew, and I'm sure you'll have heard it on the radio. Red Right Hand is one that pops out. Into My Arms is fabulous. Henry Lee, The Weeping Song, Where the Wild Roses Grow. It's classed as alternative punk, but yeah, that's who knows what Wikipedia is saying. I don't know. It's one. How would you listen to this one, Joe? It's not really an easy listening song, but it does deserve a close ear.
Yeah, I think for me, you know what? If you can get a rainy Sunday afternoon, I would plonk myself on the couch and listen to it for sure. Yeah, this is good. Catch
up on your Instagram or something like that. You don't have to involve your brain too much. Just sort of, do something kind of. Monotonous, maybe. I don't know what you could be doing. Dishes. You could do the dishes. Yes.
The word on the street is you're in for a real treat. So there you go. So that is your album to review for next week.
There you go. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, the best of. I will send you later the playlist to make sure you listen to the right ones. So then you can have a listen. I'm very curious on this one. So, but I'm quietly confident Matthew might like this.
Oh, we'll see.
Yes, we shall see. And joining us now this evening is our first guest on the show. Dr. Kathleen Gabriels is in the house. There she is.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. I was listening to you on Facebook.
Excellent. That's the best way to do it, we find.
It's nice you still joined us and we didn't scare you off. So that's
yes.
Yes.
The start.
I was listening to the locomotion.
You were listening to the locomotion, did you say?
No, that's when I hear Kylie Minogue, that's what pops in.
Oh, I see. Well, that is indeed one of her. What, back in the 80s that was, the locomotion?
Yeah, that's one of the originals. Well, I suspect our Matthew has probably already got the best of Kylie hidden away in his collection somewhere, actually. Because,
I like Kylie.
What do you mean you don't like Kylie?
I don't.
Oh my goodness. Has this never come up before?
I think we need to have a whole show dedicated to this, actually. Kylie, if you're watching, and I'm sure you are, we love you.
Yes, we do. And if you want to come on the show, we'll make sure that Matt's having a week off. So, but let's move on with the lovely Kathleen that's in the house. We've got lots to talk about. But first off, those of our listeners who maybe are not familiar with your work, Dr. Kat, maybe you could give us a bit of background about who you are, where you're from, what are you doing here, etc., etc. Go.
I was born and raised in Belgium, and I am living in the Netherlands since 3 years. And since 2019, I work at the University of Maastricht, and my research is on ethics and computer technology and AI. So I study the relation between morality and contemporary technology. And to give a very concrete example, you might have heard of this documentary Coded Bias, and it follows an MIT researcher, a young Black woman. And she found out that face recognition software didn't recognize her face as a face. And when she put on a white mask, the technology saw a face. So there was a bias towards Black people in the technology. And this is just one of several examples of, for instance, biases in algorithms.
Wow.
Oh,
Gosh. Well, that.
So maybe that's a combination that people don't really think about, is when they think about new technologies, AI, robotics, they don't really think about the ethical side, the moral side. That's something that's not often thought about. It's always thought about, what can this good technology do for us in the future? What's all its benefits? But then the bad side of things are often a bit in the background. It's not something you think about until maybe something happens.
Yeah, true. And so what people don't realize is that many of our daily technology is filled with AI techniques, such as the timeline of Facebook or the search engine of Google or Siri, Alexa. And very often people think, well, there is a computer model behind it, so it must be neutral. But for instance, another example, last June, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, a group of American mathematicians, they published an open letter and called out to fellow mathematicians to not collaborate with the police. Because there is also something called predictive policing, which means that based on data, based on machine learning, they're going to predict where and when a crime is most likely to happen. But actually, we don't have data on every crime that has happened or on every person who has committed a crime. We only have data on who got arrested, for instance, and we only got... So we only have the data that the police has. So there might be a bias in this. And these mathematicians, they said, well, if we collaborate with this, people might think, well, it must be neutral because there is a mathematical and scientific model behind it, whereas a technology that makes use of machine learning is only as good as the data it is trained with. So to make it really simple, if you train a machine with even numbers, it will never know what an uneven number is. So there might be a bias.
Sure.
And well, actually, there's a lot of examples. So for instance, also the car is very much designed with a standard male in mind. So for instance, crash test dummies, for decades, they were modeled after the average man, and people just assumed that women were smaller versions of men, whereas this is not true because women have different muscles, and for instance, we're much more vulnerable to having a whiplash. And actually, the first crash test dummy in Europe that was modeled after the average woman, the crash test dummy only came out in 2014.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Considering how long cars have been on the road for a good 100 years by then. I don't know. And I don't know if it's true or not, but there was an awful lot of women that were driving cars during the war, of course, because all the men were out fighting in other countries, and the women in their own countries, they were the ambulance drivers on their home turf and keeping the country going. So there was a lot of women driving long before it seemed to be sort of like a fashionable thing to do or a standard thing to do. So it seems crazy. 20, I mean, oh my God.
And the first pregnant crash test dummies entered the market in the 1990s. So also the safety of pregnant women has been ignored for a long time. So just to make clear that there's that basically every technology is being designed by a human being. And of course, we have our biases, we have our stereotypes, and one of the pitfalls is that we take our own framework, our own moral framework for the rest of the world. So one of the things that I plea for is to have more diversity, more interdisciplinarity in design teams, but also in policy making, also in research and education. And another aspect of my research is to look at the question to what extent we can build morality in a machine. Because artificial intelligence is all about building intelligence into a machine, but to what extent can we, for instance, delegate all these ethical discussions that we're having? Also related to the coronavirus, there is a new discussion that we will need to have as soon as we have a vaccine, namely in what order will people get vaccinated. And then there is of course, a plethora of philosophers thinking about, well, to what extent could we delegate this to a machine? Would a machine be, more consistent? Yes, but would it be better than human beings? Because, like I said, it's only as good as the data you train it with. On the other hand, we are very judgmental as well. So, it's very fascinating, all these.
Well, you sent us a very interesting tweet from the Pope. I watched the video, and the Pope was talking about how, it's a bit strange to think about the Pope is talking about this. So clearly it's something that's very important. Traditionally a very conservative institution that doesn't really look at AI and robotics. But if you look at it as, in a cynical point of view, he was talking about you should teach these machines to be good, to do something good. They should be about bringing equality to humanity. And he talked about that the robot should be made human. But then I was thinking, well, what does good mean? Like, who decides what's good? And humans are not initially good, like inherently good. There's lots of bad aspects of humanity, like all these horrible things that are happening in the world. And so
how do you pick the good bits out of a human?
Exactly, like how do you design that?
One of my major criticism, because we don't really have this blueprint, we don't have this perfect model that we could train a machine with. But on the other hand, it's really fascinating because you could, for instance, make use of reinforcement learning, which basically means that you will reward a machine for good behavior or punish it when it performs bad behavior. But then you will only have a very primitive form of morality, because morality is also about internalizing rules and knowing why something is morally better. But it's a very good question, what is good? And if, for instance, if we would train a model only with Catholic thoughts, that would also be an extreme bias. But what I thought was very fascinating about the tweet was that we had to pray for a better AI. And I was just thinking, okay, I will replace my lecture tomorrow by 2 hours of praying. Because I don't think that's the way we have to do it.
That just raises a load more questions, really, doesn't it?
Indeed.
For anybody, any youngsters out there that are thinking about maybe going into this field, what's the route? What should we be advising them? Because I suspect that this is a growing area in science, and it's very new. It's certainly got legs, that's for sure. So any youngsters out there who are listening to this thinking, do you know what, this is fascinating, this is something I want to do, what would you advise them?
Well, I need to make publicity now for
Go for it.
The Bachelor Program Digital Society. So since last August, I've been the program director of the Bachelor Digital Society at Maastricht University. And it's basically at the intersection of humanities, social sciences, and also a bit of data science. And all these questions will also be dealt with in the program. Of course, you can also study AI at the Department of Knowledge and Engineering, but that's a more technical program. The ethical questions, etc., are more in digital society. But my basic message would be, do what you want to do, because don't just start a study because you think the job market will how do you put it? Because it's best to find a job. For instance, I studied philosophy, and that's also not that was also not really recommended in the sense that.
No, but I think it probably holds you in good stead with these particular studies. That's for sure, because as I said, every time you ask a question, I think it just brings another 10 questions along, and we do need to ask the questions. I think a lot of the questions also come out of fear as well, because people are very, very, very scared of AI. But I'm afraid we're going to have to stop there. It's a fascinating subject. I think we should get you on for a bit longer, for sure. But I fear that we would probably end up with about 100 questions. So maybe we should do a whole series of this.
On November 18th, the university, together with Lumiere, will broadcast Coded Bias. I will give a talk, and it's online. So everyone, if it's a small amount to watch the documentary, but if you're interested, Wednesday, 18th of November.
Okay. Brilliant stuff. Okay, well, we shall get that blasted all over social media. Dr. Kat, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely get you back on, and enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
Bye.
Thanks ever so much. Take care now. Bye.
Goodness me. There you are.
It really is one of those subjects where you ask one question and then all of a sudden we've got 10 more. I mean, it's...
No, you can't do this justice in just 10 minutes or so, unfortunately.
Well, we opened a can of worms, and now everyone can go, oh, I want to find out more, and go do it themselves.
Indeed, yeah, that's it.
Can of worms, wiggly worms everywhere.
Are they your worms? Very funny that
yes, those are my worms. My worms.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to do an impression of worms here. While you're doing an impression of wiggly worms there, I'm going to ask the nation out there to take a deep breath, to relax, because we're running a little bit late, but we have time to zen out a little bit, and I'm just going to do a very quick This Day in History! Yay! And don't forget, coming up after this, we've got Tracy with the news, and Bloom Bliss Art will be joining us, because today it is Thursday, the 5th of November. And oh my goodness, has there been lots going on historically on this day? Mostly to do with presidents. So I shall be peppering this with the odd name of a US president, as if we haven't had enough. On this day in 1639, the first post office in the colonies is set up in Massachusetts. And post offices, of course, well, we don't see many of them these days. I think most of them have seemed to have disappeared, and we're not sending letters anymore. We're all sending emails and texts. So
I send letters.
You do send the odd letter, but I suspect you don't send as many letters as you used to, my dear.
Actually, no. Well, I've actually just picked up letter writing again.
Well, there you go. There is an art to it. There is an art.
Carry on, though.
In 1872, on this very day, Ulysses S. Grant was re-elected as US president. And in 1895, on this day, the first US patent was granted for a gasoline-driven car. In 1912, on the 5th of November, another president was elected. It was the Democrat candidate Woodrow Wilson. Take a note of all these presidents, because for any quizzes out there, these are good answers to have. In 1935, the Parker Brothers launches the game of Monopoly. Oh dear, that's wasted. Hours wasted. The arguments. It's a painful game. In 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt was re-elected as
not resurrected.
And in 1946, John F. Kennedy, he was elected to the US House of Representatives. Obviously, it was a few years later before he became president. In 1955, dates returned to the. This was the date that Marty McFly returned or went back to the future.
Oh my goodness! November 5th, 1955.
This day was the day Marty McFly
It's
went back.
next Friday. I'm checking Instagram. There's probably a hashtag somewhere for this.
This was the very date. back to the friture, as they call it in the Netherlands. In 1963, the US Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, he visits the Netherlands.
Oh,
That was nice.
exciting.
And in 1968, the Republican candidate Richard Nixon is elected president. It's a very good time of year to become a president. In 1992, the revenge match of the 20th century happened. The American chess grandmaster Bobby Fischer defeats Russian Boris Spassky to win an unofficial match in Belgrade. 1995, on this very day, Andre Dallaire attempts to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. He's thwarted when the Prime Minister's wife locks the door.
And the man who invented the door can rest happy.
Certainly can. And finally, in 2015, the Collins Dictionary named binge watch the word of the year, followed by transgender.
Wow, there we are.
I'll just run through a few birthdays. There was quite a few, so I've narrowed it down. In 1913, Vivian Leigh, the English actress, famous for Gone with the Wind, was born on this very day. Here's
Tara. I'll go back to Tara. Carry on.
Very good. Very good. Here's a nice little connection for you. In 1941, Art Garfunkel was born. See what I did there? In 1959, Bryan Adams, the Canadian singer, was born in Kingston, Ontario. In 1960, Swinton, the British actress, one of my favourites. And finally, 1965, Famke Janssen, the Dutch model and actress, was born in Amstelveen, the Netherlands. And that was a very quick This Day in History.
That was very quick. My goo, well done, dear. Fabulous.
I whizzed through.
By the way, Famke Janssen was in a fabulous Netflix series called Hemlock Grove. So if you're looking to watch something on Netflix, Hemlock Grove. Very good.
There you go. We have everything for you here.
I know.
It's so informative. Well, considering there's nothing going on outside of these walls, you might as well tune in and listen to what we've got to say about Netflix, because that's all we're going to be doing for the next few weeks, for sure.
Emily in Paris.
Oh, Emily in Paris. Isn't it fabulous?
I'm hooked. I'm disappointed in myself, but I'm hooked.
It's so good. We have to wait for season 2, but apparently they will make a second season.
Oh, good.
Okay, calm down.
Sorry.
Coming up, we're going to have Monica and Ville from Bloom Bliss Art joining us. But before that, I think it's time for Tracy in the news.
I'm ready to go. Lightning round.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's November 5th, and you're watching the Maastricht edition. First, a look at your weekend weather, and it's set to remain dry and bright for the coming days with sunny spells and highs of 18. However, there is a chance that temperatures will dip below freezing overnight. Moving to your bulletin for tonight, and we have news of angel wings in Maastricht and festive weddings in November. But first, vote counting in the USA continues as a handful of key battleground states will determine the outcome of the U.S. presidential election. The final result hinges on the states of Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Protesters have taken to the streets of several cities to demand that counting be allowed to continue, while others have called for counting to stop. It is expected to take several more days before the result of the election is confirmed. In a press conference earlier this week, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte announced stricter lockdown measures for the coming 2 weeks. These include the continued closure of restaurants, libraries, cinemas, theatres and zoos. Also, as of now, a group of a maximum of 2 people are allowed to gather outside. The advice remains to stay at home as much as possible and avoid travel. It is also advised to avoid international travel until mid-January. As of November 19th, the intention is to revert back to the partial lockdown measures which were already in place. Travel companies TUI and Corendon have reported a rise in bookings to Curaçao after Rutte said that the Caribbean island was not a red nor orange zone. Rutte called on people not to engage in foreign travel but said the former Caribbean colonies were not out of bounds. That said, travellers have to test negative for coronavirus no longer than 72 hours before takeoff. In other news, a 32-year-old man from Zwolle has been sentenced to 3 months in prison and psychiatric treatment for threatening Princess Amalia and one of her friends. It seems the man sent multiple threatening messages to the Instagram account of the princess, but claimed he did not know it was Amalia's private account. Moving to local news, and after some discussion, it has been decided that shops in Maastricht can open on Boxing Day, December 26th. It's believed the opening is an opportunity for the entrepreneurs in the city. And as of yesterday, the temporary toilet facilities on the Markt have been replaced by 8 public toilets on the square at Mose Forum. The toilets are cleaned and using them cost 50 cents. And a Maastricht resident, Nicole Richel, decided to brighten up the wall in her neighbourhood of Weker Heidenstraat. After contacting a graffiti artist, the design Weker Wings eventually came about. Pimping the wall contributes to a cheerful streetscape, and the design incorporates the Star of Maastricht and the Sint-Servaas Bridge. And finally tonight, a young English couple have officially become Mr. and Mrs. White Christmas after tying the knot in a pre-lockdown wedding. Tilly Christmas and Kieran White got married in Bath on Tuesday. The ceremony was attended by a small number of close family members and friends, but was still a jolly affair. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural events going on in Maastricht and the surrounding area, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. You can also follow them on social media, but of course, COVID-19 restrictions do apply. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Reddit and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Lovely stuff. Nice
There
one, Tracy.
Mr.
I
Christmas. Sorry, dear.
Oh,
What did
dear.
you say? What did
I
you
was going to say that the artist that painted the wings, I saw that story come up yesterday, actually. And there was a really lovely picture of her standing in front of the wings. They looked amazing.
Fabulous. And it's become a sort of thing now that you go to the street and you stand, with hands aloft and have the wings behind you. But it's very beautiful, quite tasteful as well.
Yeah.
So nice. Graffiti being used in a very fabulous way.
Well, if you go to Heerlen, of course, I mean, they have some fantastic street art there, murals that are donning the walls, and some of them are huge,
Really
absolutely
impressive.
Huge.
Yeah.
You can do an official tour, which I have done, actually. I went with a photography group. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago now. And we wandered around the town, taking pictures and got some history and stories about it all. Very, very interesting. As and when we are allowed to congregate in groups, then I would certainly recommend, I'm sure that's going to be next year, then I would certainly recommend it. It's well worth the look, for sure, because there's some amazing art out there. And being done for the good. I think it's about time you asked me a question.
Oh, well, Matthew, do you want to do the honours?
What do you know this week that you didn't know last week?
Ah.
Well, I know a few things.
Ooh.
Llamas that spend too much time around humans are prone to go berserk. There is actually something called berserk llama syndrome.
The poor llamas.
But what's too much time? Like,
Well,
how
you
are
say poor
quantifying?
llamas. I just want to point out that said llamas believe that humans are fellow llamas and sneak up behind them to attack.
Oh,
Would they attack? They generally attack other llamas then.
Well, if they're not liking them, I suppose.
Oh
They
my
don't like you.
goodness! Well,
I know.
good lord!
It's rather worrying.
It is, well, yes. I've never really met a llama though, so I don't know if they would like me or not.
Well, I haven't got that close to them. I'm an alpaca girl, if I'm honest. I like my alpacas. And
They
we've got an
spit,
alpaca
though, don't they?
farmer.
They all spit at you.
Alpacas don't.
Oh, is it just the llamas that
It's just
spit?
the llamas. It's just
Right.
the alpacas don't.
Oh, the poor llamas. They're getting a bit of a bad rap here. It's like
They are.
rats, you know? You get associated with one bad thing and you're condemned for life.
Well, if there's anybody out there who has a llama or two, maybe they could fill us in on this berserk llama syndrome. And I'm just going to quickly run this one by you as well, because sticking with the animal thing, did you know that 4 times as many tortoises have been to space than British people?
Wow! Why have these poor tortoises been sent to space? And did they come back, Joe?
Well, well, no, because they've taken such a long time to get there. You know how slow tortoises are.
I feel sad for the tortoise. It's like the monkeys they send up to space just to test if they'll survive. Oh, the poor things. Oh, Gio, have you got any other updates? Something a bit more happy?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, which is rather happy. We're going to get in our next guest, because we've got Monica and Ville from Blue Bliss Art. They should hopefully be joining us very shortly. We're just giving them a quick call. Fingers crossed they are in the house.
It bodes well because they've
looks
got...
like it. Yay! There they are.
Wow.
Did we do this right?
Yes, we did.
Didn't they do well?
Good evening. Lovely to
got one
have you on
job.
the show. How are you?
We had one job.
We're
and we
great.
did it right.
We're great. How are you?
You guys are fabulous.
Yeah, we're doing very well here. Very well here. Have you been watching the show up until now this evening?
So,
We
yeah.
have.
Learning
We-
about berserk
alpacas.
llamas.
Whether they spit or not, or if that's just llamas,
I tell you, we
it's going
aim
to be on my
please.
mind for a while.
I know.
Yeah, we're putting a call out for anybody who is a llama owner out there to maybe fill us in on this llama berserk syndrome. I mean, it's all a bit random. But Monica and Ville, you are the owners, directors, the people in charge of Bloom Bliss Art.
Yes.
Lovely to have you on the show. We know nothing about Bloom Bliss Art, so we're hoping you're going to fill us in. Maybe you could give us a bit of background of who you are, where you're from, and how you ended up starting Bloom Bliss Art.
It's a long story, but we'll try to give you the condensed version of it. So we're originally from Florida. Well, Ville.
By way of Finland. I was born in Finland, but yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Ville,
Yeah.
I can say keepis.
Keep peace. Cheers.
Yay! No, I didn't swear. Keepis is cheers in Finnish, I'll have
It
you
is.
know.
It
Yes.
is. You're absolutely right.
That's a bit rude.
I know.
It's okay. It's normal. I hear it all the time. But no, we actually met at art school in Florida.
Oh.
When
Yeah.
was this?
So we both
2012?
studied painting, fine arts
Yeah.
in the University of South Florida in Tampa. This was around 2010 or so. So yeah, we met there, ended up getting married eventually.
Yeah.
You make that sound like it was just something to do one day.
Well, you
Like
know.
I really am
Seemed
trying
like a
to
good
give
idea
you
at
the
the time.
short story.
We've been married
Moved
for
around a lot
yeah.
between continents. Like, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, and we discovered live wedding painting really in summer of 2019. And that's literally when we started Bloom and Bliss.
Yeah.
We discovered it and we're like, this is awesome. Like, I feel called to it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Well,
And what is it?
What the?
I'm wondering, what is live wedding painting?
Well,
Have to ask.
About this on
you
the
have a
wedding.
wedding or a live event, we actually show up in person and we paint the event.
Exactly. It could be the first dance,
I don't know.
ceremony.
Maybe self-explanatory.
the reception. It's kind of like an up and coming trend in the States. That's where we discovered it, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just much like hiring a photographer to capture your wedding or event through photos, whatever, we literally go there and we paint on
Much
site.
slower.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish I had an example to show. You're just gonna have to see our website. But yeah.
bloomblissart.com. Check it out.
Perfect. Good
The
job.
time for a plug.
Perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing that for about a year or so. And you might be wondering why we're in Maastricht if we came from Florida.
Yeah.
I'll let him answer that.
I actually, I'm currently doing my second year of graduate school. So I'm an illustrator by trade, and I'm doing a medical illustration program at the University of Maastricht.
Wow.
So pretty heavy topic, but fascinating stuff. It's a wonderful program. I was one of 8 that got accepted last year.
Wow.
And yeah, we also paint. So we're artists by trade and artists by education.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Every Sunday I do a little bit of a pencil sketch, a bit of a doodle. And now I think I'm a bit ashamed, really. I can't believe this. Wow, this is so cool. Guys,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just wind back a little bit, because you're saying this is like having a photographer at your wedding. I have to slightly disagree here, because a photographer will probably take 500.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
And different people. I can't
You
even
probably
imagine
get
that you
one
must
painting
like
down in the span of 4 hours, but
but guys, do you sort of like, for example, if it's a church wedding, let's just say, you're kind of set up with your easels and paintbrushes in the church, and I'm kind of, for some reason, have in my mind these courtroom dramas where you've got someone in the audience who's sketching the guy who's on who's being accused of something, and you guys are just there basically painting the colors and the images and an impression of the moment.
yeah,
pretty much.
You nailed it. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's like it's a
Funny you mentioned court drawings, because that's like what he was thinking when we first started. Like, he was like, oh, when I was a kid, I wanted to be the guy to sketch like the forensic sketches of like people who go missing and stuff. But yeah, off topic. Yeah.
Goodness.
It's such a lovely idea, because I think, I mean, having been to several weddings, you might get 1 or 2 photos that get put in a frame and they're stuck on a shelf somewhere. But the idea of having a beautiful portrait or a scene from the wedding that's painted and will be forever on your wall, I mean, that's just lovely, because most of the photographs taken get put in an album, they get put in a drawer, and they get brought out maybe once or twice when people have had too much to drink, or maybe when the divorce is looming and they go,
Well, we hope that's not the case.
Through confession, we never got our wedding photos printed. Partly because we move around so much, so it just never happened. Like, they're on a zip drive somewhere. But yeah, to prove your point.
Actually painting you will probably make an effort to put that painting on a wall. I mean, it's a fantastic idea.
It's slightly more unique than just a photograph. It has a personal touch.
And it also provides like a form of entertainment for the guests at the wedding, because they get to watch the painting come to life, like from literally a blank canvas to
Guys,
What sort of style painting is it? Is it very realistic? Is it quite abstract? What do you actually paint?
It's kind of a mix of both, I would say. Like, we try to stick to kind of a loose expressionistic style.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about
She's more
color.
the colorist. I'm the draftsman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
I have a strong
I let
foundation in
the
drawing,
medical anatomical guy do like the draftsman part of getting all the proportions right and everyone, because it's basically speed painting. So you're painting under a lot of stress. So
and we work in tandem, which is actually pretty unusual.
This is another thing that blows my mind as well.
At the same time, we don't take turns, so that's kind of the beauty of it's an entertaining thing for the guests and for us, because each painting is different.
Yeah, it's so much fun though. You never know what's gonna happen.
I have too many questions, guys. This is terrible.
Go ahead.
Please fire away. I mean,
Tracy, you have to get married so that they can come and I can watch what goes on.
I like this idea. You have to get married. No.
Why did you get married? Well, we had to have a painting from Bloom Bliss Art. I mean, that was the reason.
Matt, get married. Come on. I mean,
but does it have to be a wedding? Can't it be?
It doesn't have to
like
be,
a radio party?
actually.
No.
Matt, you're wiggling
We've
out
done
of
a
this.
live
Stop.
band before.
We've done concerts. We've even done commissions from photographs, because there's, especially now considering the circumstances of the pandemic, we do photo commissions. I mean, you name it, but generally the idea is a wedding is sort of our central focus, but it doesn't have to be. Any kind of family gathering.
Do you guys work on a simple canvas, a giant canvas with pencil, watercolor? What sort of medium do you guys use?
We have yet to do a live watercolor painting. We stick to acrylic painting. So it's basically, the main reason is just because it dries so much faster than oil paint.
Yeah.
So we kind of have no choice. But as for watercolor, it's a bit finicky. So kind of.
The idea is that we show up generally a few hours before the ceremony begins, and then we do the background. We sort of fill in the space and the atmosphere, and then once guests start arriving and people start showing up, then we fill it in with the actual attendees.
And may I ask, if we mentioned your website earlier, if people click on that, can they see some of the previous weddings that you've painted? Such a strange sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything's on there. We have a gallery full of basically our portfolio of live events and commissions we've done throughout the year. On Instagram.
Yeah, you have to go. So you click on the homepage, bloomblissart.com brings you to the homepage, and then there's a little drop tab on the side, and it just says gallery. So if you click on gallery, it'll bring you to all the stuff we've done.
I need to add some more photos to that, but
it's very colorful, playful.
You know what I'm thinking here? My annual barbecue.
Oh, Joe!
Oh, yeah.
Imagine!
I've not been able to have
that would be so
this
cool.
year we host a really big barbecue. We have loads of people come round. Of course, we weren't able to have it this year, but next year, fingers crossed, if we can have it, wouldn't that be fantastic?
I have one tip for you guys. Arrive early before too much booze is consumed.
Oh, yeah. We're generally not the ones
we
drinking,
could edit that part out. Yeah, that's the beauty of painting. We could edit things out, put things in. I did a portrait recently. It was a maternity shoot, and she wanted her cats in the shoot, but it was on Maastricht Bridge. And I superimposed her cats on the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
on the website, right?
Yeah. So
is that on the website?
Yeah.
All right.
You named it. Like, I've had all types of requests.
Well, I've got goats, so we definitely have to have the goats in.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Oh my God! Imagine little tubs and arms. Oh! I have a cat, Little Tubbs. He has his own Instagram account, but I'm thinking, guys, painting.
He's not popular than us.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'd be thrilled. We'd be more than happy to do it. That's what we do.
Yeah,
well,
we have fur babies too, so totally.
Another time. Guys, unfortunately, we're running out of time here. It's been absolutely lovely having you on. We will get all of your information all over our social media. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, a shout out that if anybody out there has a commission, then get in touch with these guys. Anything you want painted, sounds to me like they'll stick your pussy in there. So even
bluntly, yes, we can stick in the painting.
You want a picture of your pussy on a bridge, they will do that, which is fantastic. Ville and Monica, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise.
Do come and join us again soon.
Thank you so much. We'll do.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, guys.
Moi moi. Wow.
Well, both sets of guests tonight have given us so many questions to ask.
Guys, my mind is blown.
That was obvious, Tracy. Yeah, she's got little tubs doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, oh my gosh.
But it's
a lovely
amazing.
idea.
It's so clever. I'm just looking as we speak on my phone at their gallery, as they mentioned, and everyone really check it out. I mean, you see them in action, you see the finished products, and they're stunningly beautiful, very, very special. What a clever idea.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Really? Wow. Joe, as an artist yourself, would you agree that acrylic is the way to go for this type of a thing?
Definitely. Acrylic dries an awful lot quicker, and bearing in mind that, certainly the weddings that I've been to, it's either been outside or inside in a hot place.
Yeah.
Then the conditions are going to be that the acrylic will dry a lot quicker. The trouble with oil, it can take months to dry.
Okay.
Months. I mean, it's beautiful to work with oil, and it always seems that the colours are uber vibrant, but once you've been working with it and you leave it there to dry, it can be months and months and months before it's actually dry. And this is also can be a problem if you want to change something and you have to wait till it's dry before you can change it.
Wow.
No, it doesn't always work like that, but if that's what has to be done on that particular painting, then yeah, it could take a very long time before you actually finish it. So acrylics, it's much more flexible. There's lots of things that you can do with acrylic that you can't do with oil. So yeah, for sure. But it's a different kind of painting to what I do, that's for sure. I'm extremely abstract, and I can't imagine any bride or groom would be very happy with the kind of thing that I would use.
Well, you never know, Joe, to each his own. So,
absolutely.
But a very cool couple. I would love to have them back on. I'd like to hear more about, how they all got together and their whole relationship story. Yeah.
There is definitely a story there. Fantastic. But time's getting away from us. So, Matt, what have you got for us this week? Matt goes Dutch.
You have to ask me a question first.
Oh, right. I'll take the honours this time. Matthew, what do you know this week that you didn't know last week?
Well, did you know that between 1947 and 1956, there were 77 witch trials in West Germany?
I did not know this.
That's a lot.
Really?
Between 1947 and 1956.
That's kind of, come on, my dad was born then.
Witch trials then. I should have said this last week.
Wow.
In what form did these trials take? I mean, were they all found guilty and drowned?
I'm not sure what
they were burned usually. No, burned at the stake.
Yeah, maybe. But there was one guy who was convicted of, I can't remember what the term is, but he was convicted of murder, a type of murder, because he convinced this woman to stop taking her medication, and then she later died because she stopped taking it, because he was healing her, and then that was witchcraft. But yeah, there was lots of accusations, even more accusations than there were court cases in that period. Oh. So yeah, it was really interesting reading that.
Good Lord.
Oh, didn't know that. So what have you got for Matt Goes Dutch this week, Matt?
Well, I've got some bears for you because...
Oh, yay!
It's not a nice story, Tracy.
Oh, no. It's not. Please don't tell. Is it about the bear in Maastricht City Park?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to hear. I'm plugging out.
You know the story already. No, but so if you ever go to Maastricht, to the Stadspark in Maastricht, which is along the city wall, there's a big cage on the one corner near the D'Artagnan statue, and in that cage there's currently a giraffe that lying on the floor with a little girl kneeling next to it. And in that cage, there used to be bears. So originally there were two bears living there since the 1920s. And I think they originally came from a circus. And the city government purchased the bears, set up the cage, and the bears were living there, not the same bears. The first bears were called Max and Polla, and they were kept in that cage. The original one was actually much smaller than the current cage, so what you see is an expansion that happened later. But there were bears living in that cage until the early 1990s, which I found quite shocking, to be honest, because when I first came to Maastricht, we went on a tour and they told us that, I was like, what? 90s? That wasn't even that long ago, and everyone knew that was a bad thing to do. But yeah. So, and then today they have the artwork there that represents the suffering of the bears. I'm not sure why it's a giraffe and not a bear. Not sure. And there's also a recent a wooden carving of a bear that's sitting on the bench a bit further down from the cage, again to represent the suffering of the bears, because it looks quite sad, sort of kneeling over on the bench. So you should definitely go check it out. Now you can't really do much in Maastricht. This is definitely worth a walk in the Stadspark and discovering the history of the city. But yeah, definitely go check it out. There's also some plaques there that explains the history of the place. And there's also in that bear pit, there are figurines of other extinct species. So it's all about how animals interact with humans and how humans sort of harm them, etc.
Well, we may not like the story, but at least we've learned from it, and we know that it's not happening still in this part of the world, at least, anyway. So, and hopefully it will stop happening in other parts of the world. But it is an interesting story, nevertheless, Matt. So thank you for that.
I only listened a little bit because I know the story, and I find it so sad.
It is a sad story.
And indeed, the little bear who sits on the chair with this little sad face. I always think about walking by and wrapping a little scarf around his neck or something. But on a positive note, in the city park in Maastricht, they've recently introduced some fallow deer that you can watch.
Nice.
And I was there last Saturday, and I photographed a couple. They're very beautiful, quite shy, and of course they have cages around. They're kind of fenced in. But if you find a right spot, you can really see them, and they're very beautiful. So you could check that out as well. And also, there's an aviary there with some interesting birdies and the ducks and the geese and stuff. So yes, it's not all sad bear stuff.
I don't want to alarm you, Tracy, but you have a lot of flashing light going on behind you. I don't know what's happening in your... Yes, you do. I don't know what's happening in your lounge, but there's been a lot of flashy light stuff going on. So,
well, not David. He's watching TV there to my left, but God knows what's on. So unless there's orbs or something behind me, I don't know. But spill over from Halloween. I don't know, dear. He's probably watching something on Netflix. Perhaps Emily in Paris.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe he's watching Gabriel. He's nice to watch.
Oh, right. He could be. Yes. Oh, you're indeed. Yes, Gabriel.
Well, we may not be able to go out and about, Tracy, but have you got any titty bitties for us this week?
Well, yes. As always, the fabulous folks at #Maastricht / Merchandise House of D. Bless them. It's tricky these COVID times, isn't it, to keep everything up to date on things to do. But I do have a couple of highlights, courtesy of #Maastricht, who are the folks in the know for things to do in the city. So, of course, the recent government announcement was that restaurants had to close and things like this. But many restaurants, at least here in Maastricht City, have taken to the whole takeaway delivery option with Tausbesorg and so on. And Denis from # has recommended a couple for us. Oak 34, which is it's kind of barbecue meat. So as a vegetarian, it's not but they do have some fishy things as well, I understand. Oak 34 is run by the chap called Peter, who also has Peter's Irish Pub. And this place is hugely popular. They do a lot of takeout, a lot of pickup. So this is definitely one to consider. Also, Cafe Local, which is on the Market Square, offer takeaway dishes, coffee to go, poke bowls, this kind of thing. If I may add a couple of personal tips from my side, Waymark and Coffee, which is on the side street nearby where I live. They do fabulous chai tea and so on. Also some lovely cheesecakes and brownies and things to take away. But there's a lot of the key message is that there's a lot of places in Maastricht now who have switched to home delivery and takeaway pickup services, including Wen Chao, my favorite Chinese in Maastricht. So just have a look online, check out taskbesorg.nl, check out the social medias, follow them on Instagram, check out our Facebook page, Businesses in South Limburg. And just keep it in mind. I mean, you don't have to go and shop every day, but if you order once or twice a week or something, it really will make a difference. And a special shout out as well to Charlie's Coffee in Maastricht. Unfortunately, they had a break-in recently, which is awful to hear in these times. But I believe that they're powering through, and they certainly use a little support at the moment. And they do some great coffee. And remember, he was on the show all about the Arabic.
Big fan of the show.
Yes, so check that out as well.
Yes, and also for any online events that are happening at the moment, Maastricht is worth having a look at, because they have been highlighting quite a few online events now. They're not necessarily local. Some of them are coming from other regions in the Benelux area, but of course, if it's online, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. But they were supported as well. So check out maastrichter.com, our partners in crime, as it were, and they will steer you in the right direction as well. We've come to the end of the show, unfortunately. It's been a fabulous show. We've had lots of guests who really we could have done with more time with them, so we'll have to get them back on.
We will.
Matt, of course, has got a new album to review next week. What's the name of the album, Matt?
I wrote it down. Hang on.
Best of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
That's the one.
And before we go, we are running late, but before we go, I just wanted to mention one thing. For some of you who have been following us for a very long time, you'll have noticed that our lovely Jason, who's usually doing tech for us, hasn't been showing his face. Sadly, he has left the show. Him and his family have had to travel back to the US. Well, we could go with that, but we'll stop right there. For us, it's a huge loss to the show. It really is. He's been with us for a couple of years. He's been a great friend to us, and he has helped us in so many ways as far as getting from the studio to putting the show online. He will be very much missed by all of us here at the Maastricht edition. On behalf of the team, we wish him well, and his family, Jackie and Jameson. Do stay in touch. Hopefully one day our paths will cross again, but we really thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you've done for the show. He has been replaced, however. We have a new tech guru in town, Dabs, who you cannot see. He's a little shyer than our Jason, so he's working in the background, but he's the man who has taken over the knobs, and he will be playing with them feverishly while we are broadcasting. So and he's doing a fine job as well. So thank you very much. We welcome him to the team. We shall be back next week. Have a great week, whatever it is that you're doing. You never know, we might know who the president is next week, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. Stay safe, whatever it is that you're doing out there. Remember, we've got new rules and regulations coming in, so get your masks on, hang out in pairs, and we shall see you all next Thursday. Have a good night. Take care, everybody.
Have a good week. Bye.
Bye. There's a huge delay, so I'm assuming we've finished.